He got a $2 million check, not his salary, just his bonus, a gift, on top of everything else he already earned, and he threw a chair across the room. Why? Because the guy he sat next to at a party last week got $2.1 million, just $100,000 more. That's it. That tiny gap between $2 million and $2.1 million was enough to make a grown man in a room full of colleagues completely lose control. Now stop and think about this for 1 second. $2 million. $2 million in a single payment. Most people on this planet will never earn that much money in their entire lives. Some people work 30 years and don't see a number that big. And this man had it in one check, and his first feeling was not happiness, not relief, not, wow, I am so lucky. His first feeling was, I lost. How is that even possible? And here's the scarier question. Is this just a crazy Wall Street story? Or is the same trap waiting for all of us, just at different numbers? My name is Jack, and I genuinely find this stuff fascinating. How money messes with our heads, why people who have everything still feel like they have nothing, and why some of the richest people in the world end up making the most destructive decisions of their lives chasing more. Today, I want to show you something that I think will permanently change how you think about money and success. Because the never enough trap doesn't only destroy billionaires, it works on everyone. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's go. There's a book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and it opens with one of the most powerful ideas I've ever read about wealth. At a party, the famous writer Joseph Heller, the man who wrote Catch-22, one of the best-selling novels ever, is told that their billionaire host made more money in a single day than Heller earned from his book across its entire history. Heller's response? He smiled and said, "Yes, but I have something he will never have." What's that? Enough. That one word, enough. Housel says it stopped him cold. For so many successful people, some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in the world, that word simply does not exist in their vocabulary. Now let me tell you about a man with $8 million. He was a tech worker who got lucky early. He was part of a startup that took off, and when it sold, he walked away with $8 million at just 34 years old. Think about what $8 million means. A 5% return on $8 million, which is very easy to get, makes you $400,000 a year. That's over $1,000 every single day. Without working, without doing anything, just from the money sitting there. He never had to work again. He had already won. And then he moved to a specific neighborhood in Palo Alto, where his neighbors were billionaire founders of massive tech companies. Almost overnight, $8 million started feeling small, embarrassing even. He described it as feeling like the poor kid at the BBQ. Everyone around him had private planes and $50 million beach houses and their names on buildings. And suddenly, without anything actually changing, $8 million felt like nothing. So he started taking big, risky bets on startup companies, not because he needed money, not because he had a plan, just because he couldn't stand being the poorest person at neighborhood parties. He lost $6 million in 3 years. Housel calls this the moving goalpost, and it's one of the most dangerous things money can do to a person. Here's how it works. Every time you reach a new level, your brain doesn't say, "Great, I made it." It looks around, finds someone at the next level, and immediately resets the target. You don't feel richer, you feel behind. And Housel shows exactly how this ladder works. A rookie baseball player earning $500,000 a year is rich by any normal measure. But he's on a team with Mike Trout, who makes $36 million. So the rookie feels broke. But Trout looks at the top hedge fund managers making $340 million. Those managers look at the top 5 who made $770 million. And those 5 can look at Warren Buffett, who added $3.5 billion to his wealth in a single year. The ladder never ends. There is always someone higher up. Always. Which means if you're playing the comparison game, you cannot win. It is mathematically impossible to win. Husel tells a story about a friend who asked a Vegas casino dealer a simple question. Which games do you play? Which casinos do you go to? The dealer looked at him completely seriously and said, "The only way to win in a Las Vegas casino is to exit as soon as you enter." That is exactly how the comparison game works. Every time you look at what someone else has and feel behind, the house wins. The house is not a person. The house is the gap itself, the space between what you have and what the next person has. And that gap never closes, because the moment you reach the next person, there's already someone above them. The only winning move is to stop playing. But here's where it gets really serious. Rajat Gupta started life with nothing. He was born in the slums of Kolkata, India. He lost both his parents as a teenager. No money, no connections, nothing. And from those beginnings, he built something almost unbelievable. By his mid-40s, he was the CEO of McKinsey, the most prestigious business consulting firm in the world. He partnered with Bill Gates on charity work. He sat on the board of directors of Goldman Sachs, one of the most powerful banks on earth. He was worth $100 million. $100 million. Remember, a 5% return on that is $600 every single hour, day and night, while he slept, while he ate. The money just kept growing. He had won, completely, totally. By any measure that makes sense. And then he threw it all away. In 2008, Goldman Sachs was in serious trouble during the financial crisis. Warren Buffett decided to secretly invest $5 billion to save the bank. Gupta found out about this deal before anyone else because he was on Goldman's board. 16 seconds after hearing this news, he hung up the board meeting call and called a hedge fund manager named Raj Rajaratnam. That manager immediately bought 175,000 Goldman shares. When Buffett's investment was announced to the public hours later, the stock jumped. Rajaratnam made $1 million in a single afternoon. This wasn't a one-time mistake. Prosecutors said Gupta did this repeatedly, earning $17 million in illegal profits. He went to prison. His reputation, his career, his legacy, everything he spent his whole life building gone. And the question Housel asks is the most important in this entire video. Why? Why does a man worth $100 million risk everything for $17 million more? Why does someone who earns $600 an hour in their sleep commit a crime to make slightly more? Because he sat next to billionaires at the Goldman board, and $100 million next to a billionaire felt small. The goalpost had moved, and instead of walking away from the game, he cheated to try to win it. Warren Buffett described it perfectly when talking about another group of traders who did something similar. They risked what they had and needed to get what they didn't have and didn't need, and that is just plain foolish. So here is the mental model. The one question I want you to ask before every financial decision you ever make. Am I protecting what I have or chasing what I don't need? Because there are some things that, once lost, you cannot buy back. Husel lists them: your reputation, your freedom, your relationships, the ability to look at yourself in the mirror. These things have no price tag, but they can absolutely be destroyed by someone who never learned the word enough. Gupta lost all of them for $17 million he didn't need. The man from Palo Alto, the one who turned $8 million into $2 million, eventually left. He moved to a smaller, quieter city, bought a house he could afford without stress. And he wrote about his experience later, and one line from what he wrote has stayed with me ever since. He said, "I was playing a game invented by my zip code. Not by his needs, not by his dreams, by his zip code, by the street he lived on." He lost $6 million because of where he chose to park his car every night. The hedge fund analyst left his firm eventually, too. He described the moment he knew it was time, watching a colleague sit in his car in the parking garage after receiving a $2 million bonus, and cry, actually cry, because it wasn't enough. And the analyst thought, that's me in 5 years. He walked away. John Bogle, the man who founded Vanguard, one of the biggest investment companies in history, remembered Heller's quote until the day he died. I have something he will never have, enough. Bogle said it was the most powerful thing he'd ever heard about money, because enough is not giving up. Enough is not a weakness. Enough is a foundation. It is the thing that protects everything else, your time, your freedom, the people you love, the life you actually want to live. The people who never find it don't fade away slowly. They tend to lose everything at once. If this made you think about your own number, your own game, your own goalpost, you already know what to do. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.